Dummy Switch Pod.
Yes, sir.
Rugby took a break, so we also took a break. But we're back. We're back again. We're back again, giving you that unfiltered rugby chat. Chris, how are you?
No, I'm good, Courts. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good myself. Just making it through the week as we all are.
Yeah. It's good that it's Thursday, so looking forward to just a good weekend, I guess.
I guess so. Big news of the week. Kolisi packing up the boxes, putting them in the van. Heading down to Durbs, eh?
Yeah, well, he's going up. He's going up to Durbs. He's going up the coastline, eh?
Yeah, big news in this one. Sia making his way, but I think we all sort of knew this was going to happen. There had been murmurings earlier on, and he sort of put out an IG post reaffirming his status as a Western Province player. And I mean, the season wasn't over at that point, but I think we all knew this was in store. Some executives coming in and saying Rock Nation had nothing to do with it. It's just a coincidence that we have both signed with them. A bit of a wink deal there. What does it mean for the two teams? Should we go Sharks or should we go Province first?
I think let's start off where he's leaving. Let's start off with Province and the Stormers. Because he's leaving them behind. So let's deal with the past, and then we'll look ahead.
And it seems like everyone's leaving them at this point. You've got Kutsia also looks like he's packing his bags. The Union really looks like they're in a bit of trouble. You'd think that Kutsia could have possibly been a man to replace him. We've spoken about that on the podcast, but he's on his way out. In their stocks, it looks like they've got Augustus. They've put sort of a lot of faith in him. Johan du Toit, Klaba, Tienason. I think those are sort of their main guys in that position.
Yeah, that's true. But you're talking about Augustus. I saw an article. There's rumors that he's linked to overseas as well.
Yes. I think they're circling as well.
To Northampton, but look, there's no smoke. There's no smoke without fire. So we'll see what happens over there. And I think for Western Province and the Stormers, it just highlights and underlines the sort of the financial difficulties that they've been experiencing. That's been documented or reported widely in the media. And look, we're not close to what the boardroom level things are happening there. But for me, that's obviously bound to cause concern for a lot of guys, and with them moving away from Newlands, there's no longer that sort of tradition or that ethos or that aura surrounding the Western Provinces and Stormers sort of brand.
I feel like, you look at the Lions, this didn't happen, but something similar happened when they got left out of Super Rugby, and that they sort of formed an identity and they formed a culture. They brought in some misfit pieces from here, there, and everywhere, and they made it work. I don't have the same faith in Western Province. I don't think the culture is. I don't think there is a culture. I don't think it's strong there. So I don't know how they're going to cope with this.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to touch on, to say, as much as we, I'm highlighting, the sort of the negative side of things, from the finances, the new stadium and players leaving. I think at the same time for them, it is an opportunity to sort of start off on a blank canvas, and you rightly point out, it's very difficult to say that they will have that ability to put that culture in place, but at the same time, it is an opportunity for them. As much as it's sad to see all these changes happening and the landscape changing over there, but it may be changing for the better, and hopefully they can get the right people in the right positions from a management perspective to drive that culture and have the new players or the ones that are left behind buy into that and drive that forward to create a new sort of altogether new Stormers and Western Province package and identity, because they're really going to need that. I think losing a player like Siya Kolisi is a big, big loss. But at the same time, you mentioned the youngsters that are in there. A guy like Namaklaba, for me, he sticks out as like, hey, this is prime time opportunity for him to step up. Kicks off from a leadership perspective. I just don't see anybody else coming in there and being captain. He's definitely going to be the franchise and the union's captain going forward. If history, the recent history is to go by, so yeah, there's still a lot of good things and good pieces left.
Look, for me, I think we're in a very fortunate position as SA Rugby, and especially as Western Province, where every year there's just a new batch of guys coming out of high school that are capable. Combine that with sort of guys that are capable that are missing out at other unions, and it's a recipe that can make success. It can make success. I think what you highlighted is a management group there that they have to now step it up. Can they do it? I don't know. You talk about a blank slate. I don't know if those guys need to be wiped away as well.
Look, I think they need to. They need to take a hard look at themselves. Whether they will do that, that's something that's still to be seen. And you quite rightly point out, about the misfits or the players that would otherwise not have opportunities from other unions. So for me, the way that I see it, for Western Province as a union, and I think for South Africa as a whole, yes, we are blessed to have that talent pipeline coming through. But the other thing that we need to be mindful of is that the lure of overseas currency, whether that be the euro or the pound, is still going to play a big part. And I think we're still going to see a lot more players going, and it'll be good. It'll be good to see what sort of plans SA Rugby and the unions, as well as the franchises, have in place to try and retain most of their talent or the bulk of the talent, and I suspect we may start seeing players breaking through more and more at a younger age, and that could be a recipe for great success, because, youngsters, there's no fear in the way that they play, and it may bode well to improving the sort of the entertainment factor when it comes to our rugby, and the standard of play. So, look, there's negatives for sure, but definitely, for me, being an optimist and knowing that the resilience of, we've seen it with the Lions.
We've seen it can be done before. We've seen it can be done before.
Exactly. So the opportunity is there for them. They need to look at it, and especially, I can't stress enough the management group. I feel that that's where the discord is a lot of it is from the top brass, because if you look at the players that they have, even the past Curry Cup and Super Rugby Unlocked, it's not like they don't have talented players. They do. They have the talent there. It's just the right the pieces of the puzzle are just not falling into place. So you have to ask yourself who's the architect here, and maybe we need to change the architect. So whether that will happen again, still to be seen.
Whispers around the team also going around Schickling, also maybe booking a ticket, getting on his way. Willems as well. Apparently, he's been hit up in the DMs by the Bulls.
By the Bulls,
they're offering that money.
That's an interesting one. I think if they had to lose JD Schickling, I think that'll be a bigger loss than what Siya Kolisi would be. And that's in all honesty, because recent form of Kolisi at Western Province hasn't been great, and Schickling has been the one that has sort of been in the engine room, but at the same time, I saw today it is confirmed that Marvin Ori is going down there.
Going back home.
So,
linked with the Cheetahs last minute, turned it around, who goes to Western Province.
Look, I think he'll be a good fit. I think he'll be a good fit there if he brushes up on a few things. He may be he may be a stroke of genius in terms of signing him there, you know, because he is a Springbok as well. So, and he's an experienced campaigner. We've seen what he's done for the Lions, you know, and you can't take that away from him. Yes, he has his flaws, but you know what? I think maybe it'll be a new lease of life for him, and we could potentially see him take his really just solidify himself as one of the sort of domestic greats that have come through, you know, particularly as a player of color, you know, in the sort of the new era and the new South Africa guys that will go down in the history books as well, you know.
Also, strangely enough, they've been linked with Sopawanga. I don't know where this one comes from. They've got Kate Jolita. Sopawanga, you're talking about, you know, Rand versus Euro versus Pound. Sopawanga, I don't know where this one comes from.
I think they're just dreaming. They're just dreaming. They wish they could lure. Look, when you look at it, you think to yourself, okay, you know, potentially because he's already playing in the north, and if SA Rugby is moving to the north,
he's playing at Wasps, and I've seen an interview with him. He's like, I think he did have a bit of a struggle adjusting in terms of, you know, he said it's very business minded in the UK, very business minded, sort of. This is work. You come in, you do your job. You know, you clock in, you do your job, you go. This is work. You know, it's not the same culture sort of as New Zealand. That, you know, okay, sort of, okay, maybe he wants to come back to somewhere where it's more a similar culture to New Zealand. But why wouldn't he go back to New Zealand? Why would he come to South Africa? And number two, why would he come to Western Province?
Yeah, I just don't see it. You know, I don't see it. And at the same time as well, you know, I believe there's also some French clubs that were interested in him. You know, so if you're looking at that, and if you're basing that on what you're saying around the business-like or business-minded approach of the UK rugby landscape, you can see him rather go to France and have wine and cheese and have a.
It's like, you know, buying a pair of Gucci shoes, but you've got no curtains, you know, covering your windows. It doesn't make sense here. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. You know, and all that. If they had to get a player like that, that means that he's taking a significant pay cut, or they must have some private backers that are putting money into the union and the franchise. Look, if that is the case, if that had to be the case, then maybe. But no, I still don't see it. Never. No, sorry.
Let's move on to the Sharks. Sia's new home. We saw him unveiled. Interesting one, this one. Interesting one, this one. He said it was like his first day of school. Biggest school kid I've ever seen.
I know, right?
You probably look like that when you was at school. I think you've seen the pictures.
Yeah, he was born like that, you know. Look,
so,
I think...
Yeah.
I think for the Sharks, it's a good signing. I think it's a good signing. I think, yes, as much as it's the wink deal, and we being told that Rock Nation had nothing to do with him being there, you know. So we don't want to cast aspersions on people because we don't know the backstory. But I mean, at the same time, we know. It's like we don't know, but we know. You know what.
I've got a saying that goes, the devil works hard, but Rock Nation works harder. Those guys, they know how to pull strings, I promise you. They know how to pull strings, especially, you know, overseas there in the States. They know how to get things done. Sharks now, looking at their team, they've got Borley, Richardson, Buthelezi, Henko Venter, James Venter. You know, the balance isn't there. It's not there. You've got some people questioning the signing, saying, is this a PR thing more than a rugby thing? Going to that fact that, you know, they've got fetchers there.
Yeah.
You've got guys sort of saying this is going to hamper Richardson's progression. And I mean, it's Siya Kolisi.
Yeah, it's the Springbok captain is Siya Kolisi, you know. At the same time, if they can talk about Dylan Richardson, you'd say, okay, what about Pepsi Buthelezi as well? You know, being there. I see him as a future leader, you know, and if he potential,
I'm
he has all the
forgetting Noche.
potential.
Sorry, I forgot to write down Noche.
Noche is there as well, you know. So I actually I don't see it as a bad thing, you know, considering. I think if you've said it before on this podcast, you know, when we were speaking about the SA Rugby going north, you know, in that going north, squad depth is going to be a thing. You know, it's going to be a big factor, and it's going to determine the success of a lot of teams, you know, coming from down here. We've seen the Bulls also have a similar sort of stocks in their cabinet, you know, of youth forwards.
A lot of depth there.
Yeah, and I think the Sharks have made a smart move. You know, yes, inspired by Rock Nation, you know, but at the same time, I think it's a really smart move. Yes, the PR will be there because it's Siya Kolisi, but I think for him personally as well as a rugby player, this is the best opportunity that he's going to have to actually focus on playing rugby and not be worried too much about, you know, he's the national captain, he's the franchise and provincial captain. Now it's his sole job now is to play. And
I think things had gone a bit stale in province. Things had gone a bit stale, and that's for a lot of guys. They, you know, it sort of ran its course. It had run its course, and you know that whole sort of class of guys, that graduating class. I think maybe Kitsoff is the only one, and I think he was even below them a bit. But
and Skara as well is the only one that is left from there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just time to freshen up.
Yeah.
Look, I good move for me. I can't knock it. I do believe some of those guys might be on their way out, like a James Fenter possibly could be on his way out. And I mean, talented players. So I mean, there's other unions. You might find him a few weeks time going in the other direction, going to province. You know.
Yeah, that can happen, or you might even find him going back to the Lions because, you know, he was sort of touted somewhat of a homecoming for him when he went back to the Sharks from the Lions, and it just hasn't worked out as yet for him, you know. So I think all around for the Sharks, this is a great signing, and I think they're going to benefit. It's one of the things that I mentioned. I think it was even in the latter rounds of the Currie Cup around the leadership in the pack, in the Sharks pack, and you know now, yes, Thomas du Toit is a Springbok, you know, but I don't see him as a leader, right? But now you've got a genuine leader in there in Siya Kolisi that, you know, he's going to lead.
Question: yeah? Who is the Sharks captain? Is it Lukhanyo Am or Siya Kolisi?
It has to stay Lukhanyo Am. It has to stay Lukhanyo Am because number one is there's, as much as I think I can say that there's no privilege in rugby, even though in some circles there is, but it cannot be that just because he's the Springbok captain and he's come to a new union, he's all of a sudden going to be the captain of guys that he hasn't necessarily spent time with. He hasn't really, they haven't even probably even passed the ball to each other as yet, you know, outside of Springbok camp. You know, this is a different environment. It's the Sharks. I think him being there is going to actually help Lukhanyo Am's captaincy. And I think that's what Lukhanyo Am's captaincy has been missing. You know, if you had to look at the guys that have been captain in the backline, you know, if we're looking at it from a Springbok level, look at guys like John de Villiers, etc., where they've been Springbok captains. They've always had leaders in the pack that have been sort of assisting him. And I feel for Lukhanyo Am, this is going to do his captaincy very well, you know, and now he's got a lieutenant that he knows that he can rely on. You know, that's how I see it. I just see it as a win-win for everybody involved. And if they had to take the captaincy away from Lukhanyo Am, I think it will create a lot of culture shock, you know, in terms of, all right, this is the guy that you backed, and now all of a sudden, because there's somebody new, you're changing it. It's people are going to question their own positions, and it will affect the change room. You know, I don't think the Sharks would want to do that. If they do that, that would be the silliest move that a coaching group or management team can make. You know, so nah. stays captain for me. I'm sorry. Stays captain, and maybe look in terms of vice captain. It depends. It depends, but yeah, stays captain for me. Kolisi, he doesn't need to. If his rugby is going to get back to the standard that got him to where he is, he needs to do the right thing, and he would also need to make the right decision and turn down that offer if it had to come. That's my view, because in this instance he needs to see it as this. He is the incumbent Springbok captain, but one thing we all know, if you're a rugby lover, rugby fan, and you watch the sport, you know that his form has not been the best. You know that he hasn't been the player that he was before, in terms of being dominant in his carries, the counter-racking, and I mean it from a consistency point of view, so for him, if he wants to reach those levels.
And he's got time, man. He's got time. I mean, he's got
29. He's 29.
There's time. I mean, if it's not this season, there's next season and the next. So, I mean,
yeah, but
by that time you will be fully integrated. No, but I'm saying by that time you'll be fully integrated. That's when you can make these kind of decisions.
Yeah, true. But even though, maybe then, if Am's injured or Am's off, you say, okay, just let him be the captain. But no, for me, I see this as an opportunity for Usia to really, especially the British and Irish Lions coming up. Yeah, this is a chance for him to get his form back. If that tour happens, I think if he gets in that, it's a new environment. Obviously, he's going to have to prove himself to the Oaks, and the only way that he's going to do that is by his play. You don't want to bring a Springbok captain to your union. He gets there and, he doesn't do the job on the pitch, because then, how guys are going to be. There's going to be jabs. There's going to be jabs in the change room. There's going to be jabs at training. He's going to know about it, and the respect factor is going to go away. So I think for him, his only concern should be about playing, not about leading or captaincy. He can lead on the field by his play, but captaincy, I think he should put that far, far beyond in the back of his mind.
Another question. Sharks starting loose forwards.
Ooh. Yeah, look, that becomes a difficult one, because they have so many players available to them. I think the key thing would be about the balance, and balance, number one, how do they want to play? And the other thing as well is who they're playing against. I think, a guy like Henko Venter, he's been solid enough. When he came in there, I think he brought something different to them. He brought an edge to them, to that pack. Noche, he sort of stepped up in the final bit of ran through the semi-final and the final of the Currie Cup. So, by virtue of that performance, he just sneaks it and staying in there. And then, the open spot comes in now at number 6, where I think by virtue of Kolisi being the more experienced player there, you'd think that he'd be a shoe-in, but I don't see him immediately just getting in there and just taking that jersey away from Dylan Richardson. So it's still going to be. I still see that standard loose trio staying for now in the early part of it, but as it goes along, I believe that it will change. But like I say, that's going to hinge on a lot. How they want to play, who they're playing against, and where, because they're going to be playing in the north. I don't see Skumuzo Noche starting at number 8. I could see a guy like Boli starting at 8 because he's more rugged and he's a more dominant ball carrier, as an example.
For me, season starts tomorrow. 6, 7, Henko Venter. 8, I'm going with Pepsi Buthelezi. Those are my guys.
Okay.
Richardson, I think immediately they've texted him and said, "Hey, my man, make sure the jersey's washed and ironed because it's going to someone else now."
Yeah. Well, I hear you, Quarters. I hear you. I like your selection at number 8, though. You know, look, I'm a big fan of Pepsi Buthelezi, and like I said, the only reason why I feel Noche sneaks it in is because of his the way he ended the season, the Currie Cup season, in the semi-final and the final.
I mean, we can see as well. I mean, I don't see them playing Sia at 7 or 8, but I mean, it is a possibility. It is a possibility.
It is a possibility, you know, but yes, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see, because one thing we know for sure is that the Sharks are known for sort of playing around with what they loose trio combinations and where they play, you know. So that definitely is a possibility. But you know, if we're going for out and out number 8, you know, it's a straight shoot up between Noche and Pepsi, you know, and Noche is on notice. He knows. He knows for sure that he is on notice, and that's why I believe he will get the early season. He'll get first dibs, you know, and if he doesn't prove, then the young man's got to take his shot. And when he does take his shot and things come together for him, that's the future captain of South Africa, is the future captain of the Sharks.
Moving on, other unions, as you mentioned, Ori looked like he was heading to the Cheetahs, but he's going home. The Bulls, they're in Willems's DMs as well. Now they've hit up Goosen, and it looks like it's almost a done deal. They had given Francois Hougaard a call. Apparently, he was applying for, you know, a few months away from applying for a British passport. So I mean, if I'm him, I say I can't make it right now. Just gotta get that passport. I mean, it's life changing. I mean, for your whole family, your children as well.
True.
Goosen, look, it now looks like they're saying it's almost a done deal.
Look, if the Goosen deal goes through, then I don't think Willemse is going anywhere. He'll stay at Province, because I just don't see how they're going to make room for those guys to play, because somebody's going to be frustrated.
I don't see it, but it still could happen. It still could happen, but I don't see it. Goosen, he was playing 13 a bit. You know, in his run in France, he was playing 13 a bit. I think he even played there once for the Boks. I'm not sure he'll be playing 10.
Oh, look, I think if you're looking at it, if you look at Morné Stein's age, you know,
but he's playing.
I think but he's playing, yes, but the season's about to start, and I think if I'm Jake White, I'm thinking at the end of the season, definitely, or sometime during the season, Morné Stein is going to announce, look, I'm out, you know, because I just don't see that longevity in him. And
Morné Stein is going to play until he's 55. that man is not going anywhere.
So you're saying
Tom Brady,
he's Tom Brady of the Bulls. He's a Tom Brady, you know. So look, I think I honestly believe, number one, if you're trying to get Damian Willemse, you're definitely looking at it from a number 10 perspective, not necessarily at fullback, you know, and that could potentially be the one thing that could get Damian Willemse to go to the Bulls. If there's
how must you feel? You guys, you know, you've just won Super Rugby, you've just won Currie Cup, and then they're shopping for guys in your position. Jake White he's a tricky guy. He's a tricky guy.
He is, but at the same time, look, I think he understands what he's trying to build, and I think he's seen enough from the player group that he has, and in terms of the long-term project and where SA Rugby is going in the North, I think he's looking for guys that'll be tried and tested. You know, one thing he puts a premium on guys that are Springboks. From even when he was a Springbok coach, and even after that, you know, anybody that's a Springbok in his eyes, you know, that's a premium player, and he wants those kind of players in there that understand high performance and that could be relatable to him as a former Bok coach, a World Cup winning coach, and you know, he wants to get Springboks in his team, you know, and I don't blame him, you know. So if I'm a guy like Chris Smith, for example, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, geez, you know, maybe 10 is not going to be his position, you know, maybe He'll be moved
Chris
to
Smith is
center.
waiting for Province to call him, I think. He's waiting for the phone to ring because essentially you're out.
And that wouldn't be a bad move, I don't think.
It's not at all.
And also for Province, but then the conundrum that the Province will face now is, okay, you got Tim Sweel, who's not great, let's be honest. Who's not great. And then you've got a youngster like Kate Voliter, who most likely turned down an opportunity to go to France to stay, and now you're bringing somebody in. It's a very sort of it's a balancing act, for Western Province if they had to, because we know that they are in the market for 10 because the rumors around Sopoanga again, all that does, it indicates that they are looking for a creative number 10 that's got the ability to spark a backline, but that has the sort of temperament, and proven championship qualities. Sopoanga has won Super Rugby before. He's an All Black. He's been part of All Black teams that have beaten the Springboks. And so you understand what they're looking for there. So it's a tricky situation for me, But the Bulls, look, if they get Johan Goosen, I think they'll be okay. They won't necessarily be chasing Willemse so much, unless, which I don't see as well, is unless he's going to go there to go play fullback. If that's the case, he might as well just stay at Western Province.
I think so too. For me, if I'm Willemse, I don't go. He's just seen sort of Geland coming from there, heading back to Western Province, and you've seen what it's done for his career. He's sort of been unleashed, he's been taken out of that structure and put into a role with more freedom, and it's just it's done wonders for his career before it got cut short by injury. So if I'm Willemse, there's really no point. I mean, you've seen Manny Lebok, what he had to go through. So doesn't really make sense. So I'm staying put if I'm him. Other news, Apiwa Janchi, he's been told he can lodge his appeal internationally. So
look,
we'll see how this one goes.
But that's going to take forever. I don't understand, but I also don't understand, because at the end of the day, like
if there's bias at home, then this is something that's good. If he feels like the guy was sort of headed out for him, and I've seen a few interviews with that guy, and he is a bit of a quite formal, strict, straight line, hard line guy. So I mean, it could show some promise. More than time, I think it's money. I think it's a money issue
as well.
Hopefully, we'll see if he does lodge.
If I was him, he must just come out with it. He must just take that cat and take it out the bag and just say, there it is, right there, and let everyone know, that okay, this is what really happened, honestly, because I mean, if he goes the international route, he's going to lose a lot of money. And there's no guarantee that he's going to make that money back. And there's no guarantee that there will be a team that would want his services at I mean, how old is he now?
He's still relatively young. Even if he does sit out his whole suspension, I think there's still, if there's space for Monde Hadebe, then there's definitely space for him.
True, but then by the time that there is space for him, who's the next young winger? Unless he comes back as a reinvented fly-off, because he has a history of being a number 10. Unless he comes back and he tears it up at 10, and he's just that guy that you can't ignore, because that's what would need to happen. He would need to be that guy,
or even 13.
You'd need to be that guy that you cannot ignore. That no matter what, it's just a matter of, okay, shit, look, you can't leave him out. The past is the past. Let's select him. But right now, as it stands, he's out. And unless something drastic or miracle happens, we'll see him back in the game soon. But I don't know. I'm not going to put my hopes up. Although I'll put my hopes up on the juice, on the cat that's in the bag. Because he's carrying a bag. That guy, he knows. He definitely knows, man.
we're only going to see in about 20, 30 years time with the tell-all book. That's when we'll find out what happens.
Yeah,
that's how these guys do it.
He's going to do an OJ. If I did it, this is how I would have done it.
It was Rassi. It was Rassi all along.
You know, it's really, it's a shame, man. It's really a shame. But at the same time, you know, we just wish him all the best, you know, and hope that somehow he can come out of this, you know. And
yeah, I do, because you know, I look at him and he's like our Superman, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, even to a higher, you know, Sia Kolisi, he's got a very good story and whatever, but it's like there's something about Janchi that was just, he was our Superman. He was
the face.
Yeah.
And he was starting to be the face of SA Rugby. If you think about it, you know, I mean, he scored that try against the All Blacks in Wellington, you know, and you know, he was the one at the Wakanda celebration, you know, and it was just like you rightly saw the way you pointed out, he was our Superman. Because think of it like this, you know, it was at one stage everybody knew Brian Abana. He was the Superman, right? And the next best thing that we got was Janti, and man, was he Superman. And you can understand if there is a sort of an agenda, or there was an agenda, I can see why and where it would come from, you know, without, again, casting aspersions, but I can see where it would come from to chop a man down, you know, because it just, for me, that whole situation just doesn't make sense. You know, when you look at, that's why I say he's got a bag. He's got a cat in a bag. You know, maybe there's 6 cats. You don't know, but there's a cat in that bag, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's it today. Unless you want to get into anything else, I'd just like to say rest in peace to that young man, Muzi Munike. Went missing in November. This week they found he had passed. Rest in peace to that man. I saw some of his highlights this week. Actually, very, very talented. Saw him play at 10 and 13. Good player. And
absolutely.
It's just quite a sad story.
It is. It's a very sad story, and it's a loss. It's another black talent that is just, you know, lost. But you know what? As much as maybe, you know, it's early to say this, but for me, somebody has to know something, you know, and I think the rugby public as a whole as well needs that sort of closure. This cannot be a forgotten case of, you know, where, you know, in a few months or a few years' time, people just forget about him. JP boys need to name the field after him, you know, or something, or, you know, he cannot be forgotten. You know, he's played at the provincial level throughout from age group right up through the ranks. He was SA Schools captain, you know, so quality player for sure. And it's sad, you know, but certainly, yes, rest in peace. But there needs to be closure, and I hope his family can get closure on what went down. You know, it's really sad, and a loss. I was absolutely heartbroken. I don't even know the kid, but because we love the game so much, you feel that pain, you know, and it's just, you know, just hope that this is a wake-up call, you know, to everybody, you know, in the professional environment, whatever sport or in all walks of life, is, you know, just check on your people, you know, make sure your people are good, you know, and just stay connected. And, you know, because you never know who actually needs help, you know, and let's pay attention, and it's not always be on our social media and things like that. You know, there's more to life. And 20 years old, you know, that's it's too soon. But in saying that as well, Quarters, just one final thing. I'm excited to see Peter de Villiers back in the rugby circles and down in EP, in Ikhadebe, at 10 for him there. I can't wait to see the team that he's going to put out and those players. I'm I just want to leave it at that and say that, look, it's exciting to get P. Divvy back.
Yeah, quite exciting. Maybe he was the man Western Province should have called up, but we'll see how things go. We'll see with the warm-ups. Thanks for watching, guys. Good episode.
Yep.
That's it. Dummy Switch Pod out.